All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well today. Taking a look at the nasdaq here. Nasdaq is at 21.4s, kind of down a little bit. There's a couple big catalysts that dropped already. And yeah, we'll talk about them pretty soon. You can see the nasdaq sitting at 21.4s. Nvidia all the way back up to 139s, but you know it did dip down a little bit this morning as well. Again, the big stuff going on right now is that Besant yesterday said that talks with China have stalled. That's one of the first things going on. Jerome Powell and the president also met together, but they didn't really get anywhere. All right, but we do have a pop in the NASDAQ right now. What's up, everybody? What's up, Sam? Shortcuts, Pawn, US, Ryan, IJ, Keegan, Simple, Ray, H. What's up, guys? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good today. We got a lot of stuff going on. Let me drink some coffee so I can wake up some here. Nvidia just under 140s at 139s. You can see Netflix all the way dropping down to under 1200s. We got like Palantir 123s. What's up, Todd, Trey? Yeah, so Treasury Secretary Besant reported that trade talks between the U.S. and China have stalled following a temporary truce earlier this month, which saw both nations reduce tariffs significantly. He suggested that a direct conversation between both presidents may be necessary to break the deadlock and advance negotiations. Despite this, Besant indicated that the U.S. is close to finalizing big trade agreements with others, including Europe and Japan. On May 29th, yesterday, also, the president met with Fed Chairman Jerome Powell at the White House, their first face-to-face meeting since the president's return to office. The meeting centered on U.S. economy, with the president urging Powell to lower interest rates, arguing that current rates disadvantage the U.S. compared to countries like China. Powell's stance was the opposite, though. Powell basically emphasized that the Fed's independent stance, stating that monetary policy decisions will be based solely on incoming data and objective analysis, free from any political influence. And so that's kind of what we got going on right now. Powell and the president still disagreeing. I don't even know why they met together. I could have told you that they were going to say the same stuff with each other. So, yeah. All right, we're going to do a poll here. Does today's core PCE inflation data show up higher or lower than the 2.5% year over year expected? Higher, lower. As expected are going to be the three options. There's the poll. NASDAQ pushed up a little bit, but again, you can kind of see the drops. I'm not sure if these drops are from, let me see. This was yesterday, last night. Yeah, but look at these drops. Yeah, we'll get a timer up. We have an hour and 8. There we go. Here's a timer for you. I will put it somewhere around here. Hold on. There we go. This is the 200 exponential. We now recently popped above that. Taking a look at bond yields this morning, though. So if we do take a look at like bond yields have dipped back down some with markets. Bond yields have decreased from over 4.5% yesterday to now they are at 4.42%. They've been sideways all morning, but they're at 4.42% now if we take a look at these. So bond yields have decreased. The U.S. foreign tax bill is sending kind of scariness across Wall Street. People were worried about PCE inflation data as well today, but you can see bond yields are down 4.42%, showing a lower interest rate sentiment. Looking at the poll, 41% think higher, 38% think lower, 22% think as expected here. Whew. I felt good when I woke up this morning. I really did, man. Like, I felt good when I woke up. So Jim Cramer yesterday, and I don't know if this is good or bad, maybe bad, but Jim Cramer yesterday said that Dell's quarter was really better than the stock is acting. He said a humongous buyback for Dell. So basically, he's more optimistic regarding Dell, but that their buyback was big and that it's pretty optimistic for Dell. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I make this 2 hours? We don't have 2 hours. We have 1 hour here. Sorry, I'm an hour early or an hour late. All right, there we go. I don't know why I made it. All right, so we got this little dip here. I'm looking at two strategies right now. I'm going to try to take one. It's a little early, but we can take a trade on our challenge account here and just play with it. See what happens. Oops. What did I do? All right, so we're going to try to buy this little dip to the 200 EMA micro contract here. A little bit longer term of a trade here. All right, we're basically flat. I don't think I'm going to add any to this, though. I'll just let it work. All right, and again, guys, just to clarify most of the big news on May 29th. Okay, wait, let me check. All right, so we had some uncertainty introduced by the White House decision to appeal the court ruling on tariffs. Treasury Secretary Bissett talked about stalled U.S.-China trade talks. Yeah, I'm trying to see what drove the market down here. It was at 825 Central. All right, so we're now green on this. Okay, so at 8:25 Central Time, the U.S. stock futures experienced big declines following. I don't know if this is right. This is what AI says. It says AI basically says that the market turned down last night because of a federal appeals court reinstated the president's sweeping tariffs, which had previously been blocked by a lower court. This unexpected legal development introduced significant uncertainty into markets as investors earlier reacted positively to it. The reinstatement of the tariffs raised concerns about potential disruptions in global trade and the possibility of retaliatory measures from affected countries, specifically China. These fears were compounded by Bessent's earlier comments indicating that talks with China and the U.S. had stalled, that they might need to meet directly, both presidents, to break it. And the combo of this appeal news and the uncertainty around trade negotiations led to the drop yesterday. Yeah, so this is a temporary injunction. So the federal court temporarily reinstated the president's tariffs on dozens of countries. They granted an immediate administrative stay of a ruling Wednesday by the U.S. Court of International Trade that found that the president could not use the emergency powers in almost 50-year-old statute to impose tariffs on imports from countries. So basically, it's paused as of now. I'm going to add some to this now. See if we get a little bounce back over the 200 exponential and hold. We could have choppiness leading into PCE, though. We do have an hour before PCE inflation. We might be flat. So. Yeah, but when I look this up, this is legit. So appeals court reinstates the tariffs for now after ruling blocking them. Appeals court, as CBS reported on it, BBC reported on it, Reuters, Politico, ABC News, they all reported on this. So this is absolutely true, meaning the federal court temporarily did reinstate the president's tariffs. And so we're kind of going back and forth with these tariffs. But yeah, that is going on. Federal court reinstated the tariffs. We'll put the news up on the main top screen. Again, so federal court did reinstate the tariffs. Treasury Secretary Bessent reported that talks between the U.S. and China have stalled following temporary truce earlier this month. That's more news. And then Powell. Yeah, we'll put all this news up on the screen. All right, so we got all this stuff, this breaking news up on screen. So we are up about 50 ticks on this right now. We'll take a piece of this off, a little bit more of this, and then we'll hold that last little guy to see if we go up some more. But we did get the bounce right around the 200 exponential here early in the morning. Yeah, we could hold the rest break even and still be pretty green no matter what this does. Again, the big news today, I would say, is inflation related. Yeah, I'll put this up on screen. We got big PCE inflation data going live. PCE inflation is the Fed's preferred inflation metric. It's actually what the Fed uses to gauge inflation, so it's incredibly important. It's dropping today at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time in almost exactly an hour. So a little bit under an hour. So that is a massive, massive report you want to pay attention to. Tariffs on, tariffs off right now. Yep. Yeah, I'm still in this trade, but I will cut it if it turns on me. Like, I'm not gonna sit through this. If it doesn't hold. I can also add to this though if it keeps pushing, but time to add to it be right here. So I'm gonna add one contract to it. See if we get a pop back up there. We can take some profit off, lock in some more. And if it turns, it'll be relatively small. Yeah, we gotta cut it now. So we're still green on the day, but less green it turned on us. You can see the green up there. We might short this too if it continues to break down. It's a cup and handle, or not cup and handle. It's a breaking under the 200 exponential. I don't mind shorting like rejections of it either, but it's early, so we're trying to trade small. But yeah, today we got consumer spending, PCE data. Core PCE is the most important one, which excludes food and energy prices. Core PCE expected at 2.5 to 2.6% today. Regular PCE year over year expected at 2.2%. We've got month over month core PCE expected at 0.1% and regular PCE expected at 0.1%. So a lot of stuff coming out. Next week we got a whole gang of stuff too, to be honest. All right, guys, so we got a market update here. Again, the big stories of the day. Let's talk about it. Big stories of the day. Federal court appeals the decision to remove the tariffs temporarily, sparking sharp after-hours sell-off. So that happened yesterday evening. U.S. and China talks stall, according to Besson. He hinted at a need for the both presidents to meet. S&P futures are down yesterday at 825 amid tariff ruling. Investors are bracing for trade disruptions. Powell and the president met. The president pushed for rate cuts. Powell affirmed Fed's independence and said they were going to take a data-dependent approach. Markets rose earlier this week on NVIDIA earnings and blocked tariffs before this reversal, and bond yields are now sitting at 4.23%. And again, if you want to give me a follow on x.com, we just posted all this stuff live so you can kind of see it. All right, let's short. I think I'm going to short. My guess is that we're going to choppy range sideways. And so I can take a couple contracts here, 3 maybe, and see if we reject and range sideways. But who knows, man? We might go, you know. There's so much variance with day trading. You never freaking know. We got PCE inflation data. That's what I'm waiting for today, man. I think that has the potential to really move markets. I don't think... Oh, yeah. At 10 o'clock, we also have Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation data going live, too, at 10. So... Had too much coffee and not understanding the text, but do understand the text. What do you mean the text? Think it'll be a typical sell in May and go away with a slow slumber across major indices. I think it's anything but typical sell in May go away right now. I'm gonna go double down on this and add to this and see if we retrace back down. But I don't think it's anything. I think it's anything but a typical sell in May and go away. Right, there we go. There we go. Look at that beautiful trade. Added to it at just the right time. Let's see if the rejection continues. We'll hold the rest break even. Yeah, I think there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. May's basically over tomorrow. Tomorrow is the end of May. If we look at when this sell-off started here. Most of this sell-off started in April, you know. Or actually, I guess it did start. Yeah, it started in April. Most of this started in April. So, I mean, most of this started in April. If anything, in May, we've kind of been strong, right? Like, May started here. And so May started right here. We're pretty green in May. And so when we look at the percentages that in which the market has gone up or down for the current month, it's going to be up, not down. Like, it's going to say we went up in May, not down in May. So, yeah. Like, it's going to say we went up in May, not down. And not unless today we just have some huge turn. If we have some huge downward turn right now, that's different. But there we go. I'm going to add to this. There we go. We're shorting this, by the way, guys, if you can't tell. All right, we're going to go ahead and cut that right there. But yeah, when we look at the month, it's going to say we're green this month because we are. You know, we were really red in April, not May. And so it's a good lesson on. Of course I sleep. Who is? It's all love, Clinton, you know. I wouldn't be so quick to discount the ruling by those 3 judges. They are international trade experts and would be briefly the next 11 judges in the Federal Appeals Court. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, brother. Like I said, I really don't know. This type of thing, I'm pretty. I really don't know what they're doing over there. This is beyond my expertise because I'm not a market expert. That's all I'm saying. You know, definitely not a market expert. I would say I'm the top 3 least market experts in the world. I understand bonds, yields, fiscal policy, in terms of like rates and like economic policy. I understand that. In terms of like international trade rulings, you know, other people can pretend they're experts in it, but you know they're not. I'm just gonna be honest with you guys. We'll see what happens. Like I told people yesterday, I thought that even if this, so essentially, even if this does stand in terms of them removing the tariffs, what the president is going to do is president's just going to implement the same type of tariffs using a different statute. You know, this is what I said yesterday. That makes sense. That's the logical next step for him, at least, if he wants to implement these tariffs badly, is that he's just going to use an allowable statute to implement them, and that it's just going to stall the tariffs, if anything, at worst, right? Like, that's what it seems like to me is going to happen. You know, and now we have this news in which, like I said earlier, now we have this news in which federal courts temporarily reinstating the president's tariffs. We'll see if that holds, but even if it doesn't, he's just going to pivot to a different statute and use that to implement a very similar tariff on those countries. It's not going to, it might stall things at max, in my opinion. So if you think tariffs are bad, maybe we'll get bearish action. Although, again, guys, you guys know me. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about. Don't copy me. Might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Not an investment professional. I understand CFTC 4.41. Sometimes I trade and lose off stream. You don't see it. Not an investment professional. Whew. Nvidia back under 140s though, so Nvidia is one of those ones that's kind of had a later response reaction to some of this stuff. All right, so we are rejecting at the two. People are saying I'm just looking at candles, but really what I'm looking at is the 200 exponential here, which is this moving average. It's a milestone level. If we can't hold above it, I think it's a weak sign that we're going to trend down like that. We might trend back up and sideways, but I think, again, I really don't know what we're going to do, but a lot of the time, if we can't hold the 200 exponential, it means we're going to break down short term. But we'll see. We'll see. You never really know. All right, so one of the UK Reform Party leaders says he's going to make the Bank of England hold Bitcoin. Taking a look at Bitcoin this morning here. Bitcoin's still a little down over the last couple days, but again, we got huge PCE inflation data today. That's the big story of the day, PCE inflation. After 8:30 Eastern Standard Time in about 45 minutes, we have specifically Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations report. That's a big report. It's not small. It might cause some movement in markets. We'll have to wait and see, but it's relevant. It's relevant to watch. What's up, Richard? Yeah, there'll be a workaround almost certainly, Sam. Yeah, that's what I think too. Right, Moon, 100%. That's what I think as well. You never know, but that's my guess. Over 600 viewers, less than 100 likes. Hey, y'all hit the like button, guys. I appreciate it. Bitcoin went down and liquidated a guy called James. His liquidation was at 104. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Michigan number is a little crazy. The Michigan number's at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to cover it live when it happens. The PCE inflation's the next big one. So, yeah, PCE inflation's the next big one. After that, we got Michigan data going live. So both of those are relatively important here. I'm just sitting tight waiting for something to happen now. We got PCE inflation data live, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. 43 minutes or so, give or take. We'll have thousands of people here when that report drops. Yesterday, honestly, we had almost 3,000 people here for GDP. That was fun. Let's see what PCE inflation gives us here. I use Top Step X. What are we thinking about Nvidia today? I mean, I think Nvidia's down a little bit on the tariff news like everything else, but it's still been pretty strong from its earnings report. So again, I think Nvidia's down a little bit, but still pretty strong from everything, all things considered. I think it's going to be okay. But who knows, man? You never freaking know what's going to happen with this, you know. All right, so we are rejecting that 200 exponential. I'm trying to see if we got a good trade here. I'm trying. You know what? I might short it. Let's see. I'll take one contract here. These are micro contracts, so they look larger trades than they really are. I got to start taking some risks in these. So we rejected one to the 200 EMA. We got a really easy stop loss level. Like if we get out, we're under the 200 exponential. If we break underneath or over that, we're just going to cut it. And ideally, we're going to look for this to trend down to like here. That's the trade. So we got a smaller risk here than we do a reward. Better risk reward ratio, you know, just better stuff in general, I would say. Do you see my mug? My daughter got me this mug. No, I can't do both sides. I have to take one direction specifically here. I'm going to add a little bit to this, see if we can get a little bit better side. This is a challenge account that we're trading early just because there's less risk, but I'm not going to let it push up too much against me. And we have a cushion on the day, so we can be a little bit more risk averse. I'm going to stick to these levels, though. Risk. I'll let it test this 403 level just to let it test. But we're going to stick these levels up here. And just kind of detach ourselves from the outcome. Uh, 15. All right, we're going to let her tap our risk level here. Yeah, all good, Clinton. I give more side character. Yeah, I mean, in my stream, you are a side character, sir. You know. All right, so we're about to cut this and just get stopped out. Again, this is a combine account, so like if we fail here, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I don't want to lose, but again, we're going to let it test our risk, which is where it's at now, and we'll cut it pretty soon. Like, we're down a lot yesterday from the Bassett China comments and the Powell meet, as well as the reversal of the tariff ban. But I'm going to give it a second because a lot of the time we'll tap my risk and then stop me out. So I want to give it a little bit more range over 400 whole dollar is what I'm doing. But if it was a funded account, I wouldn't trade it like this. All right, we're retracing back down. We got a really easy level now. If it pops over this spot right here, 404, we'll cut it. I mean, if she bought it with, she walks around with my credit card. So if she bought it with my card anyway, but realistically, she probably bought it with her mom. All right, there we go. That's a nice little retracement back down. Sticking to the risk level here. Honestly, I'm going to reduce some of my size at this level here just because we can. And it'll be a little safer to cut it here now that we're basically flat in this position. Yeah, again, I said it once, I'll say it again. And I'm not saying, I'm going to preface what I'm about to say with, I'm not saying I agree with this. But I truly do think if the Court of International Trade, they finalize their ban on the tariffs, he's just going to pivot to another statute and implement the same tariffs in a different way. I'm very convinced that that's what he's going to do, although I can't guarantee anything. Not an investment professional, of course, not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Can't guarantee anything, but I'm pretty sure if he fails if they do end up finalizing the ban on the tariffs, he's just going to pivot to another statute and use that statute to implement the same bans. All right, so the vice president said that Bitcoin critics are wrong is a way of storing value in modern digital age. So Vance has been very optimistic regarding crypto. Some good crypto news this morning. All right, guys. So AMD at 112s, Meta sitting at 640s, Microsoft sitting at 450s. Tesla dipped a little bit down to 350s now. It was at 370s yesterday, almost 370s. Bitcoin down a little bit as well. Most things are slightly down, but not a major amount here. And we're pretty much watching Nvidia today. Yep. Still sitting around waiting. We got about 35 minutes until PCE inflation. We got about 1,000 people here already. So thank you for joining me today. Looking at some other stuff here. Again, the big news overnight. Let's summarize it real quick. Big news overnight. The U.S. president and Jerome Powell finally met with big disagreements. The president essentially urging him to cut interest rates, saying we're going to fall behind China. The Federal Reserve chairman basically saying we're going to take a data-dependent approach and that the Fed is independent. Not really much getting done. That mixed with Bassett saying that talks with China have stalled, mixed with the other news that the ban on the tariffs has been reversed temporarily by courts, and a lot of markets are down this morning. They're gapping down big. You can kind of see this big drop here. Let me remove some of these. Yeah, you can kind of see this big drop that happened overnight, and that's essentially where we are now. Markets have rebounded back up. It's testing the 200 exponential. We're in a small position here in a challenge account. Just kind of waiting for things to get done. But I want to see if we reject the 200 EMA, especially with this move now, and continue down. So we'll give it time, but that's what we're looking for. And that's the big news that happened overnight. Bond yields are now down under 4.5%. We got core PCE and PCE inflation data dropping in about 35 minutes, 33 minutes or so. Inflation 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. We got some data showing up. Really important, stuff. And then at 10 o'clock, we got Michigan data as well. So we got some stuff going on this week. Next week's pretty busy too, to be honest. Next week we got ISM, manufacturing, JOLTS, ISM services, jobless claims, non-farm productivity, ADP non-farm employment data, non-farm payrolls, unemployment, jobless claims, consumer credit, hourly wages, and more. So we got a lot of stuff dropping next week as well. It's not a small week. And then I think the week after that we get CPI inflation. But let me check. Let me make sure. I'll keep this one up. Let me duplicate this. All right, so we're now green on our trade. But again, I'm going to let this sit. I'm going to just sit on this right now. I want to see if we break down even more. I'm just going to let it work. I might add to it if we break down like a bigger amount here. But so far, the thesis was correct. But we're still kind of early. All right, so yeah, the week after next week's the first week of June. The week after that is the week of the 9th. I'm pretty sure we get CPI inflation that week. Although I'm not 100% sure, but I think so. Yes. So next week we got JOLTS, ISM manufacturing and services, non-farm payrolls, employment change data, unemployment data, jobless claims data, and all that good stuff next week. The week after that we got CPI inflation data, and then the week after that I think we got the Fed decision, although I'm not 100% sure. But we got CPI, PPI, Michigan data, and then I think the week after that we got the Fed decision. Yeah, and then the week after that we got the Fed decision. So basically every week this month, or every week for the next month, is going to be busy. Hey, look at this. I'm going to take one off here. Lock in some profit. You know, we'll take two off here. Lock in some profit there. And then maybe we'll add some back if we get a larger breakdown. We were patient for it. We waited for it. There we go. We're going to add another little piece to this and then just let it work. See if we can break down even more. Try to hold the rest break even, but... I really wanted to attack a longer term breakdown of this. Kind of a choppy range though. We do have 30 minutes left, so the only problem is that if we do get chop, you know, if we do get chop, it might stall out here, but we'll see. I saw this come in just now. It says Asian economies are ditching the US dollar and the Chinese yuan, gold, and Bitcoin driving change. Oil prices report OPEC may be discussing raising oil production by more than 411,000 barrels per day beginning in July. And so oil is dumping down to about $60 right now. $60 for oil. Again, OPEC just reported that, and look at this. Look at oil dive down on that increased production data. All right, we're going to take a piece off there and just lock that in. We got a little pop back up, but we still have 30 minutes left until this report, so I could add back to this. We're green on the day. We'll try to add to it and see if we continue to break down. Again, we could be a little looser with these trades just because it's a challenge account. The range is slowing a little bit here, I would say. Do I want to add to this? Probably. I'm going to add 6, maybe 8 contracts here. I'm trying to take a risk in this challenge account, so like, you got to take a risk eventually. See if we reject that 200 EMA again. Eesh, what a candle. That's a big green candle though. I want to see if some news came out though. This is a big candle for some news maybe. We're right at my risk level, but I'm pretty sure I got to cut this. Unless we reject up here, which is possible, I guess, with the PCE and data coming out. The problem is Tesla's rising. I got to go ahead and cut it, unfortunately. So we're down. But it's a challenge account, so we're taking more risk than we normally would. All right, we're getting a little bit of surge up here. Let's see if we continue. We gotta pivot to a long trade maybe if we get into something. This is all for your entertainment, guys. You're welcome over here, you know. Look at Tesla though. Tesla is honestly part of the one driving it. Tesla's all the way back up to 356. Took a while too. So Tesla's the one driving this. Yeah, we're in a different account here. I got a couple of these, but we did pivot to buy this, and you can kind of see we're up now. Take a little bit off here. I mean, we're green on most of these challenge accounts that we're in. We're still green on the last one that we lost money into. We just take a slow and steady approach. I try to build up a cushion on the day first and then take some risk, and that's kind of what we did. Gold? Where's gold at this morning? I see oil down a lot. This is catalyst driven probably here. Like I'm trying to see if there's any news related to this, but it's probably catalyst driven. So we had German CPI show up, mostly flat though. Yeah, mostly flat for German CPI. UK Finance Minister Reeves nominated Richard Hughes for reappointment as chair. German CPI was a little bit higher than expected, but it's not really anything big. Software rate 4.33%. Nothing really. Yeah, oil, gold dipping down a little bit at 8 a.m., but we get a little dip here, we'll buy it up again. We'll try. We're kind of buying at the top of the range, but I just want to see if we pop over this level here. We got a cushion on the day now on this one, so it doesn't matter either way too much. All right, we got 5 contracts. Yeah, I'm a big believer in micros, to be honest. Like, I know everybody wants to make everybody be like, ooh, look how many minis I'm trading. Look at the crazy risk I'm taking. But I'm not really like that. And I'd rather just trade micros. There we go. Like, I think you could scale in with micros, and that gives you a much bigger edge than just jumping in with a mini contract. You know, I could scale in 10 micros instead of 1 mini. It gives me a lot bigger edge. What I worry right now, though, is that we're going to have choppy sideways data leading into PCE inflation. So, but either way, I mean, we're not risking too much here on any of this. There we go. We'll take a piece off. Lock a little bit more in here. Hold 3. You'd love to see it. Take another little piece off there. But let the rest ride. We got 2 contracts left. Yeah, we got 23 minutes until PCE inflation. That's why I'm taking some risk here. There we go. All right, we'll take another little piece off. I'm gonna cut this. We're right at the top of the range. We're up over 100 on this one though, so that's nice. Gold is kind of flat, which might mean that you got like an easy range to attack with gold. But we'll see what happens with gold. Yeah, I mean, what happens a lot, most people should be trading micros, right, versus minis. So like I could buy 10 micros and it equals 1 mini contract in the NASDAQ. And that's a powerful thing because it just limits my risk in a super profound, super useful way versus trading multiple mini contracts, which is the equivalent of 50 micros. Five minis is the equivalent of 50 micros. It's just unnecessary size, right? And the aspect of it where you could scale into positions creates a bigger edge than you would. And so most people should be sticking with pure micros. It just makes more sense. And again, if you want to check out Top Step, they're an affiliate of mine. I'm biased. I'll put the link up. Learning to day trade in a funded account program like Top Step just makes sense. They give you a 50K demo. They give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. If you can make 3K without losing 2K first, following their rules, they fund you 50K, 90% split. Prior to that split kicking in, you get to keep your first 10K in profit. And that learning how to trade with some risk, $50 a month. Not the end of the world if you fail it. Limited risk. Similar reward, 90% split. First 10K in profit after funding. So it's the best of both worlds. Limited risk, similar reward to funding your own account. And they pay out hundreds of millions. They fund thousands. It's just the best way to learn to day trade in a structured environment. And day traders are probably going to lose regardless of where they go, including here. But frankly, it's a lot cheaper to lose here. The risk is noticeably less than funding your own account 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand. And it just makes sense in my opinion, right? And if you use my link, go to Top Step X. There's zero commission. There's zero commission. No PDT in futures. You can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies. Just a great way to learn it. I'll put the link up right there. I'll put it to the top of the chat as well. But again, remember, not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Always make your own assessment. Trade smart. Can't guarantee anything. Yeah, check it out. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, you can trade one mini, but the risk is so profound. Look at this drop here, guys. This looks news related. Look at this drop right now. We got a big red action coming in markets, guys. Look at this dip in markets. Something showed up here. Wow, look at this drop. Some news just happened. Let's see what it is. Some news just happened. Something happened. Whoa. Look at this drop. I'm still trying to figure out what this news is. Hold on. Bear with me, chat. Wow. And then we retraced all the way back up. Something just happened here, chat. 20 minutes before PCE inflation data. Bear with me. Hold on. Pun intended, I guess. U.S. President posts, the bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us. Okay, so the president just tweeted regarding China. Again, did anybody get that tweet? So again, the president posted on social media, the bad news is that China the bad news is that China perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us. And the market does not love this at all. It's down to 21,280s here, chat. 21,280s. Moments before PCE inflation. AMD has broken lows of the day. Look at the NASDAQ turn down here on this event. Wow. There's more to it. This is what he says. This is the full quote. 2 weeks ago, China was in grave economic data. And this is quoting him. The very high tariffs, I said, made it virtually impossible for China to trade into the U.S. marketplace, which is by far the #1 in the world. We went, in effect, cold turkey with China. Was devastating for them. Many factors closed, and there was, to put it mildly, civil unrest. I saw that was happening, and I didn't like it for them, not for us. I made a fast deal with them in order to save them from what I thought was going to be a very bad situation. I didn't want to see that happen. Because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized, and China got back to business as usual. Everybody was happy. That is the good news. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with us. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy, end quote. That is the quote. And so again, that is the quote. Markets are down pretty substantially on this report, and this is ahead of PCE inflation data in about 18 minutes from now. In about 18 minutes from now, we have PCE inflation data. Gold is surging up on this report. The NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow, they're all down on this data release. Y'all be careful. But yep, that's what happened. Markets are down. Yeah, look at the NASDAQ. Cracked lows of the day. We just broke the lows of the last 2 days, really. We're retracing back up some ahead of PCE inflation, though. Let's see what we get. Do I want to short into this? I'll try. We'll take one contract here. One. A little baby contract. There we go. It's risky, but that's why we're trading the challenge account with this. Alright, we just made a little bit. A little small, little baby trade. That's cool. That's fine. If we retrace more, we'll short into it again. Alright, we'll short into this little retracement back down. We'll add a little piece of this too. We got a cushion on this account on the day too, so we can add to this. Relatively okay. There's 3 contracts. Take some risk here in this account. 4. That's it. We're not going to add more to this. I want to see if it retraces some of this big candle wick on the downside is what I'm looking for. Remember, we are in PCE inflation day. So we do have PCE inflation coming out today. Yikes. Alright, we'll try one more ad, but that's it. I gotta give it a second too here. We're basically flat on the day now. We made some money. Now we're down a little bit on this trade, but we're starting to fall back down, which is nice. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna take some size off there immediately just to protect it. Yeah, we're still great on the day. We're gonna let the last 4 contracts ride. That's a big reaction to this chat, and we got 15 minutes left. That's a bounce up, though. There we go. We shorted into that bounce. It looked like a nice thing to short into, but time will tell. Well, you don't love to see it. I could double down and add to this because it's a challenge account, and so it's not the end of the world if we fail it. But I'd love to get a retracement here first. I think this is just a temporary bounce. I think we're going to continue down, but you never know. And again, we got 13 minutes left until PCE data comes out, so we'll see how we want to play this. We got a cushion on the day as of now. There we go. That's better. Now we're basically flat. Okay. A little bit more reasonable. Yeah, I'm not really catching a falling knife. I'm actually attacking the same trend that we're in. But I know people are going to be yelling taco trade, and maybe that's going to go on. But we'll try. We got to take risks on our challenge accounts or we'll never get funded. So that's what we're doing here. But we'll see if this is the better time to take a risk. There we go. We're retracing. Retracing. Gold heading back up. NASDAQ retracing back down. Let's see what NVIDIA does here at the VWAP. We push up too much more, I gotta cut it. And we'll wait. Okay, retracing. There we go, that's better. I'm gonna unload some of this off just to protect the trade. Make it basically where we're flat on the day. so that I don't have to worry too much about it going against me. I could be a little bit more loose on the rest and then just add it back if it does go down in my favor is kind of the plan. If it pushes up, we'll lose noticeably less than we would have. So just a little risk management. Yeah, I mean, we win or lose here. It doesn't matter too much. This is a challenge account. We told you guys. We're just taking some risks to have fun with it. Already green on this account on the day, so like might as well take some risk and some volatility that we're getting. 12 minutes until PCE. A bigger catalyst today, most likely a bigger catalyst. You never know, but is going to be PCE inflation data going live at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. That is in 11 minutes from now. 11 minutes from now. We got almost 2,000 people here, and the expected data today is going to be we're gonna have to go ahead and cut it, and we'll figure it out. Like, this is a challenge account, not the end of the world. We'll switch to a different one that we have, or maybe a funded account, and see if we can have some good reactions to some stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think the market reacts more to tariff news than anything right now. I really do. I genuinely think the market reacts more to tariff news. So it's an interesting market for sure. The market just bought this stuff up, though, to be honest. So the market did like catching the falling knife on this play. Yeah, so the market ended up just buying this up. There we go. I think a lot of this depends on what Nvidia does here. We're going to wait until PC data comes out, probably. Look at gold. Gold's still shooting up here. It's probably bad for this. See if the NASDAQ fills some of this gap down. I think it wants to, but who knows? Hey, so honestly, we honestly just called a lot of this trade. So in that count that we're down on, we just made about 200. We made about 350 actually just now, just to put this into perspective here. So we made about 350. I'll show you the trades we just got in. We ended up catching like a short breakdown of this. So if you look at the trades, look at these trades we just got into. Nvidia did reject there, and we did break down some here. So now on the day, we're up about 250. Let's see if we continue that string of good trades. Maybe pivot to our funded account a little bit later. All right, chat. We got 7 minutes left. 7 minutes left before PCE inflation massive report. Please stop spamming. You spam, you get banned. And your comment doesn't even make sense. How much do we need PCE data to be bullish in the market? Lower PCE is better. Higher PCE is worse. Lower PCE inflation means inflation problems. So lower PCE is is more inflation. I'm gonna short this too. We've already built up a cushion of almost $300 on the day now, and so we're gonna take our original plan with a little bit more cushion now into this. See if we can break down. There we go. See if we can keep breaking down here, leading into inflation data. There we go. We're gonna short. We're gonna cover. Yeah, go Tigers, yes sir. All right, look at this trade. We're gonna go to cut that there too. So the original trade worked. Again, we're up about 3 on the day. NVIDIA rejected. The original plan probably would have worked too. I think I just got into a little bit too much size short term. Wanted to let it work though. So yeah, lower PCE is better. So lower PCE inflation is better. It means lower inflation. And this is a period of market that genuinely fears inflation data. So again, 6 minutes. We got about 2,000 people here. I think the Powell meeting with the president got essentially nowhere. They basically got nowhere. Powell basically said they're independent. They're going to take a cautious, data-dependent approach, and they're not going to be pressured into it. And the president basically wanted Powell to cut rates, and Powell said no. I think if we look at rate decisions today, especially leading into the rate or into the inflation report, the odds of a cut have increased, though, chat. The odds of a cut have gone back up. It is now about 5.5% likely that we cut rates next month in June, in 2 weeks. About 5% likely that we cut rates, over 5% now. Still 95% likely that we're going to pause rates, though. So the rate decision is almost certainly going to be a pause in June. The only way it wouldn't be a pause is if we get low inflation today. But even still, even if we get low inflation, I don't think we're going to cut. Right now, it's looking like we're going to rate cut by September. So right now, it's looking like September is when we're going to cut. September. So. All right, chat. We got 5 minutes left. 5 minutes. Give me your last minute predictions. We did a poll. We asked people, does core PCE inflation show up higher or lower? 43% said higher inflation. 37% said lower inflation. 20% think as expected. Put up right now in chat high or low, betting on what you think the inflation data gauge is going to show. Do you think we're going to show up higher or lower than expected today, chat? Higher or lower than expected for PCE inflation? Let me know. Higher or lower? High, low, high, 2.5, low, high, low, low, high. All right, Chad, 4 minutes left. 4 minutes before PCE inflation goes live. Yeah, the Japanese bond market yields are up, highest in a long time. Well, food and energy is the most volatile pricing, right? So food and energy, you know, the reason we look at core PCE is because it excludes food and energy, because food and energy go up and down big amounts. So that's why they look at core. That's why core PCE is the most important report today. All right, guys, remember, hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on the stream. Again, live button next to the play button. Make sure you are fully live, caught up on stream today, chat. Live button next to the play button. We got 3 minutes, a little bit over 3 minutes left, but hit the live button next to the play button. You can also put it in 2x speed to make sure you're really up to date with this. Market's turning to the downside, which was my original thesis. We ended up making enough money from it, but could have made more, I guess. All right, guys, 3 minutes exactly right now. 3 minutes. So yields are not currently inverted. Not from my understanding. Again, gold is up there. We got NVIDIA. We got the NASDAQ 100 right here. NASDAQ is down on the president's tweet basically saying that He said 2 weeks ago China was in grave danger. The very high tariffs set for China made it impossible for China to trade into the U.S., which is the #1 in the world. We went into cold turkey with China. It was devastating. Many factories closed, and there was civil unrest. He basically saw that, made a fast deal with them in order to save them from what they thought was a bad situation. And he said, I didn't want that to see that happen. Because of this deal, everything quickly stabilized, and they got back to business pretty quickly. Everybody was happy. That's totally good news. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated this agreement with the U.S., end quote. That is what caused this big dip in markets right now. We have 2 minutes until PCE inflation data goes live. 2 minutes, chat. Be ready. Are you bullish or bearish on this report, chat? Bullish or bearish on today's PCE inflation report? We got 2 minutes left. This is his quotes. I'm not saying I agree or disagree with it. This is his quotes, chat. A minute and a half. Here we go. All right, guys, we got 1 minute left. About 1 minute left. All right, guys, 1 minute. Here we go. Let me know what you guys think we're going to get. Markets are down on this president tweet. Markets are down on the president tweet. On this president tweet. Let's see if we get anything good. Here we go. 30 seconds, chat. 30 seconds. Hit the subscribe button next to the play button. Or hit the live button next to the play button. Here we go. You guys ready? Timer's a little bit early, chat. We really have about 20 seconds left. We're going to do a countdown as we get ready for this, too. Be ready, guys. PCE inflation data dropping very soon. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Here's the report. Okay, guys, good trade balance showed up at minus 87.62 billion. Good trade balance showed minus 87.62 billion. We're still waiting on the PCE data. Personal income showed up at 0.8%. 0.8%. Markets haven't moved. PCE data 2.5 as expected for core PCE year over year. 2.5 as expected for core PCE year over year. 2.5% versus the expected 2.5%. Regular PCE showed up 0.1%. Again, 0.1% versus the expected 0.1% for PCE. So basically, as expected everywhere. Regular PCE showed 2.1% year over year. 2.1% year over year. Versus 2.2% expected. PCE month over month showed 0.1 versus 0.1%. Versus 0.1%. All right, guys. So again, basically flat PCE. It didn't really move markets at all. Basically flat PCE here. As expected, 2.5 versus 2.5%. Core PCE, again, 2.5% versus 2.5%. Regular PCE showed 2.1 versus 2.2, a little bit lower than expected. Month over month, core showed 0.1 versus 0.1. Month over month, regular PCE showed up 0.1 versus 0.1. So that's basically it. Market liked it, though. Market's heading up some here. So, but very flat inflation report. Very flat inflation report. And again, we're getting pretty close. We're about 0.5%, 0.5% away from the 2% inflation target by the Fed. But this was the goal. Again, we showed up at 0.2%, or I'm sorry, 0.1% month over month for core, 0.1% month over month for regular. A very flat report here. We are bouncing up. This is somewhat, I would say it's not bad. It's not bad, but it ain't good either. So again, I would say it's not bad, but it ain't good either. Again, core PCE showed up 2.5 versus 2.5%. Regular PCE showed up at 2.2 or 2.1 versus 2.2. So a little bit better regular PCE, including food and energy prices. Month over month for both core and regular were all 0.1%. Market likes it, though. It's starting to react favorably to this. Like, it's starting to head up some here. So market's kind of liking this report. And again, we'll put this data up on screen. Again, 2.5% as expected is basically what we showed up as. Now, remember, we do have Michigan data going live. All right, we put the PCE data up. It's now in yellow right here. So you can see it. The PCE data is now in yellow right here. Markets like it, though. And again, this comes on the heels of the president's comments regarding China. So this is on the heels of the president's comments regarding China here. Do you guys think we continue to react favorably to this? I'm going to buy this little retracement down here, see if we continue up. And again, we're trading on Top Step's funded account program where they give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it for the base one. It's $50 a month. It's a beautiful way to enter markets, risk something. If you're good enough to pass it, I'm going to take profit here. We just made a little $50. Beautiful way to learn how to day trade. Most day traders lose, right? And I'm biased because I get paid by them. But genuinely useful for traders because it lets them get started for much less. The risk is noticeably less. The base combine's $50 a month. If you pass the tests, you got to make you got to make 3K in profit without losing 2K, a reasonable 2 to 3 ratio. If you could do that, they fund you 50K. You get to keep your first 10K in profit and then 90% split afterwards. That's similar to funding your own account, noticeably less risk. And there's a 100K challenge and a 150K challenge as well. And they paid out hundreds of millions. They fund thousands. Beautiful way to learn day trading in markets with limited risk. And most day traders lose regardless of where they go. I'm very honest about this. This is just objectively true. And so again, if you want to check it out, zero commission on Top Step X. Use micros. It's the best way to learn, best way to trade. Minis are usually too big. The volatility is going to stop you out pretty easily. And so just trade smart, guys. I can't guarantee anything. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose, and I'm definitely biased in their favor, as I always say. If you want to check it out, here's the link. Great way to help support the channel. Link is in chat right there. Markets are rebounding back up pretty big on this PCE report. Nvidia's up over the VWAP, over the 200 exponential. Gold's coming back down a little bit. Let's take a look at bond yields now after this report came out, as well as the expectations for rates here. So taking a look at bond yields right now. Bond yields per this report have gone up. So bond yields are up on this report, meaning people are still worried about inflation. You know, this shows a higher interest rate sentiment with bond yields spiking up. So bond yields going up here shows a higher interest rate sentiment. So that means that the market's reacting it somewhat negatively for high inflation. Interesting. So bond yields going up. Not a huge amount, though, so kind of an underwhelming response here, but they're still up a little bit. If we take a look at the rate expectations here, again, we talked about this earlier. It was up to 5%. It's still at 5%. Let's refresh. Make sure it's still at 5%. Yeah, still has unchanged at 5.4% likelihood of a cut next month. 95% likelihood basically of a pause. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, market's getting bought back up because of the inflation data that came out. Yeah, I got you. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, you can. Pawn. Yeah, you can. All right, so the U.S. is formally moving to dismiss the criminal case against Boeing over the 737 crashes. So markets are heading up on the inflation report. So markets are seeming to like this. And again, we are going to trade live at the opening bell. How much closer can we get to the 2% inflation before unemployment numbers become an issue? Do you want to wait for that to happen? Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I would rather us have price stability, though. I would rather us have high unemployment and price stability. You know what I mean? Like, I would much rather have us have unemployment and price stability. Because I think inflation's gone up so much in 5 years. here's the problem, right? And like we've had things like election years over the last few years and all these things that cause all this emotion in the public and retail, right? The reality of it is a lot of people were yelling, oh, we're in a recession last year. We were nowhere near a recession last year. Genuinely nowhere near a recession last year. But it's an election year. And so one side, it's the greatest it's ever been. The other side, it's the worst it's ever been. You know, neither of those things are true. The reality of it is the real issues in markets and economy right now is inflation. The last 5 years, because of all the economic stimulus that we did in 2020 and beyond, caused massive inflation problems, stimulus checks, supply chain problems, quantitative easing. All of these things caused inflation issues. And inflation doesn't go down almost ever, right? And so that is why people are unhappy. You know, but that doesn't mean we're in a recession either. Like, that is why people are unhappy is inflation. And everybody should fear inflation. Everybody should fear price rising. We could show you this in this, like, with this formula here. So, like, look, if we have 2%, which is the Fed's target of inflation, and you have 100,000, and we have 2% inflation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In 10 years, you're only going to lose about 20% of your money in 10 years. You're only going to lose about 20% of your money. If we get 6 or 7% inflation, like we did following 2020. Oh, wait. 7% inflation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to lose over 50% of your money in 10 years, right? That should scare everybody. You know, all these people are walking around right now thinking 100K means something, that they're a big shot because they make 100K a year. 100K is not what you think it is, because of the inflation issues we've seen over the last 5 years. And so in my opinion, as a business owner and somebody that understands what happened over the last 5 years, I do not want inflation to rise. I would rather us go into a mini recession. I would rather unemployment spike than have inflation go up in any big profound way, right? And so to be honest, I agree with Jerome Powell. I would rather not cut rates and bring rates down and cause more spending to happen. I would much rather us to go to have price stability for a few years, which is needed. We need price stability. Prices have gone up obscene amounts in 5 years, right? You don't want them to go up again. And this is something that should scare everybody here. And so, yeah, I don't want prices to go up again. I want a couple years of stability and break-even years if we could get it. But we're not going to get that. But I would love that because, again, inflation should scare everybody, especially if you have savings. You want that inflation to eat into your savings, eat into your investments, eat into everything else. You know, stimulating the economy, cutting rates just so the president can say that we have a thriving economy under his watch. Again, I don't agree with that personally. And again, it's not because I disagree with the president or I don't like the president or I root for the other side. I don't care about any of that stuff. I just don't want prices to go up in any significant way again. And that should make sense. That should be understandable, right? But everybody's different, and it's a subjective thing. It's a subjective thing. All right, so forecasters anticipate price growth in goods to pick up in May and especially in June as the Liberation Day tariff bite. Inflation cooled through the middle of 2024. That means the year-age comps will be less friendly from here. So basically, we think inflation is going to get worse over the next few months. I hope not, but we'll see. I understand inflation can chip away at the national debt. I understand that. You know, and the logic of it is the same way that this formula works, right? Say we got 10 billion. I'm just going to use a smaller number than we actually have. Say you got 10 billion in debt and say we got higher inflation at 7%. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It'll knock that debt in half in 10 years. I get it. I understand. The problem is that nobody's going to be able to afford a freaking thing in 10 years. And so, like, sure, it'll eliminate some of the national debt, but it's also going to cause everything to be freaking ridiculous in 10 years. Yeah, we already get enough taxes to our money. Inflation is a bad tax that I don't want. You know, I already get taxed: property tax, sales tax, income tax. I'm paying so much money in taxes. I'm unhappy about it. I really am. Like, I have in the last 6 months I paid over 100K and just in taxes. I am not freaking happy about it at all. It's my fault. I structured one of my businesses wrong, but still not happy about it. This pivots to an even more important point, which is that if you don't invest in something, you're going to lose money to inflation over time. So if you got that same 100K and you stick it in an index fund that let's just say it does average returns in theory, right? So let's say it does 8%, 9%. Let's say it does 9% with your 100K. In 10 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're going to earn $136,000 off 100K. You're going to more than 100% return on that. And so you're going to keep up with inflation just by investing into something. And it kind of proves the point, which is like all these people that are trying to short the healthiest things in the world long term have no idea what they're talking about, because the biggest statistical edge is on the upside. I'm not saying you can't short, but you better not short long term, because that's dumb. It's not 100K property tax. It's a mix of property tax, income tax, and more. Yeah, gold is testing highs. The market's following gold right now. If we take a look at like the dollar index here, dollar index is down. We take a look at 10-year treasuries. They're mostly flat, but they're up a little bit on this report actually. So what it really was this. Okay, so let's say you have a business, and let's say you're the only employer of that business. So technically, your business is a sole proprietorship, right? That means that your tax rate's going to be roughly 30%. Why is your tax rate 30%? Because you got 14% of this that's self-employment tax. So you got 14% of this that's self-employment tax. So if you make, let's just say $500,000 a year, right? You're going to pay 30% of that. You're going to pay, no, that's wrong. I'm sorry. Say you make $500,000 a year. You're going to pay 30% of that in taxes. All right, $150K a year in taxes if you make $500K a year, right? But that's if you're a sole proprietorship. If you have an S corporation and you pay yourself a salary, let's say you pay yourself a salary of $70K, all right? You got to pay 30% on $70K, but the other $430,000, and again, I'm going to preface this, I'm not a tax professional. Ask your CPA. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Do not copy me. But then on the other $430K, you could take that in distributions through your company, and what do you know? You save, and you don't have to pay the employment tax, because now you're technically a corporation paying yourself a salary, which is completely legal and allowed to do. That should have been the structure I had in my business all along, but naive John. All right, guys, so we're consolidating over the last 15 minutes. We haven't really moved at all. We'll see what happens. You're mentally exhausted, bro. Listen, I live with it, No, not true. A corporation doesn't need 3 people. I'm a single member. Yeah, no, you don't need 3 people. All right, guys, so we're at 21,357. Honestly, here's the 200 exponential. I would short this, right? Especially with the inflation data that came in basically flat. Not the best inflation report in the world. I would think about shorting this, but we'll see. Well, I mean, I'm still an LLC. I'm just at an LLC paying taxes as a corporation, It's nuanced. Ask your freaking accountant, guys. Just don't make the same mistake as me. You know, if you're earning good money, never structure yourself as a sole proprietorship. Although I'm not a tax professional, I have no idea. Maybe you should. I don't freaking know. Ask your CPA. I'm not one. Yeah, I mean, I could write stuff off. Business expenses, that's pretty standard. You can write stuff off regardless of what kind of structure it is. Just one of them, you're paying 15% more, and 15% adds up. That's what it is. Roughly 15%. I don't know exactly. It's like 14 point something or something. Yeah, we have PCE inflation data that came in mostly flat today, guys. Mostly flat. Again, core PCE showed up at 2.5% year over year as expected. PCE year over year showed 2.1, a little bit lower than expected for regular PCE, which includes food and energy prices. Core excludes food and energy. Regular includes food and energy prices. Core month over month was as expected at 0.1%. Regular PCE month over month, which again includes food and energy, showed up at 0.1%. I'm about to start an S corp besides self-employment. Anything that might catch you off guard? I mean, make sure you pay yourself a reasonable salary, depending on what industry you're in. You got to make sure it's a reasonable salary. Like you can't pay yourself $20K and then, you know, if you make $100K, pay yourself 20 and then take 80 in distributions. You know what I mean? Like it has to be reasonable. And you can also deduct the salary that you pay yourself from your total income, right? So it's valuable in that regard. But again, ask your CPA. You got to run payroll taxes. Yep. You think Amazon, Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft pay their full taxes? Yeah, I saw. I don't know if it was Apple or Amazon or whomever it was, but I saw they're paying like 16% tax rate. I wish I was at 16%. 16% sounds lovely, you know. I guess they pay it higher, a lot of people, so it's all good, but I'm still a little jealous of that tax rate. 16%, bro? Give me 16% all day, dude. I'll take that. Yeah, but I don't live off of futures day trading, bro. I'm one of the people that are going to be honest about it. I mean, listen, most people on YouTube trading are marketers. Let's just be honest here. They're marketers, right? And so I'm not living off of my futures trading. I don't claim to. My channel's called Beginner Trading, you know. I'm living off of it in some ways, but definitely not from the trading profits I'm making. Don't copy me, you know. How many hours a day do you sleep on average? I would say 7 to 8 hours a night. I sleep. I need sleep. Sleep's important. I need it. And then sometimes I'll catch like an hour nap in the middle of the day. Yeah, I mean, I've got some rental properties and some investments and stuff, but all right, chat. We're going to be day trading live at the opening bell. Be ready. Day trading live at the opening bell. We'll see if we get some good stuff. Market is just completely flattened out, though, dude. It's not doing anything. It's getting kind of boring in here, guys. Again, we're going to be day trading live at the opening bell. Stick around. I kind of want to short this, but I don't know, man. All right, chat. So yeah, we're gonna be day trading live at the opening bell. Stick around. I'm gonna be day trading the opening bell. I kind of want to short this. I think I'm going to. We'll try shorting this right here. 3 contracts. See if we retrace back down to 350 is what we want. Take half off there, just protect it a little bit. Take another little piece since we got such a quick move in the green here. Okay. And we're gonna cut that too. We're right back down to 350. Not too bad. Up about 4 on the day on this account. So we got a little cushion here. That's nice. Buy silver. Ever trade the VIX? Nah, I'm not going to trade the volatility index. Thank for the 2x speed hack. Yeah, for sure, Frost. All good, brother. Can you tell me the difference between futures and perpetuals? Futures expire quarterly and you have to roll over to the most volatile contract. Perpetuals, you're able to hold indefinitely, i.e. the name perpetually. But that's pretty Googleable. Yeah, where's Bitcoin? Bitcoin mostly reacting favorably, but to the 830 report, but it's still a little underwhelming for Bitcoin. Netflix has been dipping down. It dipped down yesterday. It's back up a little bit this morning, but a little low volume. Tesla under the 200 exponential. That short would have worked even more. Should have held it a little bit longer, but that's okay. Again, stick around. We're going to day trade live at the opening bell. We still got 30 minutes left. So just hang out with us. Silver? I don't know. I'm not a big silver trader. What is it? SI? Silver? Is it SI? Yeah. At $33 an ounce. It goes by ounces too, right? I'm assuming. I'm not really a big, I don't watch silver a lot. Silver, I mean, if we look at it, silver's had a tough year. It's flat. You know, and that's in a year in which gold has made such crazy strides. Like, gold is up huge on the year, but if we put up silver, kind of flat for silver. You know. I'm just looking at the NASDAQ 100. Yeah, so Rambo, Top Step has a end of day drawdown. So just a heads up, it's much better than most of the other ones, which do, you know. Yeah, Top Step has end of day drawdown. So you must have tried a different one. which is why you should try Top Step. No PDT rule. Great way to learn. End of day drawdown as opposed to intraday. It's the best way to learn day trading, in my opinion. Single best way to learn day trading. Most day traders lose money too, so just a good way to learn. Limit your risk in the beginning as you're learning. You still got some pressure. You're still learning to trade under pressure in a structured environment, but if you fail, it ain't the end of the world. Although, again, guys, you guys know me. I'm pretty biased in their favor, of course. But, hey, if you want to check it out, here's the link. All right, so we are dipping down. I should have maybe held this a little bit longer here, but it's all good. All right, guys, we got exactly 30 minutes left. 30 minutes left. Let me end this poll. We did this poll already. Let's do another one. Are you bullish or bearish for today's opening bell? Here, we'll add a little bit more to it. With PCE inflation data out, are you bullish or bearish for today's opening bell? Bull, bear, neutral. Go to the poll. Let me know how you guys think. Yeah, I like ICT stuff. I use it in my trading a bunch. Yeah, AMC, here's the problem with AMC, and I've said this once, I'll say it again. Okay, and I told people this years ago. Here's the problem. Okay. GameStop squeezed. When it squeezed, it had the prime conditions for a squeeze. What were those prime conditions? Low float, high short float. Okay, squeeze potential. Low float gives volatility. High short float increases the odds of a squeeze, right? That's what happened with GameStop. The problem is that once GameStop squeezed in the way it did, all these retail traders entered the market and they had no freaking idea what they were talking about. And so they enter the market. Some of them are trying to grow a following, and so they just start spewing nonsense conspiracy theories, trying to pump up all these different stocks and grow followings online. And so they got behind AMC for some reason, which was vastly different than GameStop. AMC had 10x the float that GameStop did, way smaller short float than GameStop ever did, right? So AMC was never going to squeeze in the significant way that GameStop squeezed. It just wasn't. It was never going to get up to $1,000 a share like all these rookie traders told people it would, you know? And people ended up losing boatloads of money because they were just told the wrong things regarding AMC. And so once people start to group together with AMC, nobody wants to look at it objectively. Everybody wants to believe they're going to get rich by it. And all these new rookie traders that got involved with the market that don't really understand the difference between GameStop and AMC and the squeezes start just getting into AMC. And then what you have is you got a bunch of people creating like Twitter accounts, social media accounts, telling all these new conspiracy theories every day, just trying to grow a following and manipulate people. And eventually it goes down to where AMC post split is at 340s a share, is basically way down. And yeah, like that's what happened with AMC. It just wasn't the same thing. And too many rookie traders got involved and started trying to teach when they should have just listened, you know. All right, bond yield stabilizing here. We got Nvidia pretty flat on the day. I'm going to put up like maybe Palantir here. Palantir at 123s. Nasdaq did break down though, so that's good. Yeah, SBET. Pawn's telling me about this one. Flew up to over 100. Yeah, GameStop's fine. I mean, GameStop is eventually going to fail unless it pivots to something important. But GameStop's better than AMC. Yeah, well, the timer's at 0 because nothing's going on. Oh, we got Michigan data. I forgot. We got University of Michigan consumer sentiment data, inflation data coming out live in 1 hour, Chad. So stick around. I mean, it's squeezed up to what, like $70 pre-split are. But you got to understand, people were saying it was going to hit 1,000. And if you look at the stock chart now, you know, it says $726, but that's not a real reflected price. That is a post-split adjustment price, which means it was never anywhere near $700 a share. It was at $70 a share, 72 to be exact. But people would just feed other traders nonsense because they didn't really understand it either. And so they would tell people it was going to hit 1,000 and all this crazy stuff. And I was sitting there criticizing them most of the time. And they would get mad at me in turn and start drama. But like, that was the reality of that situation. GameStop should pivot into like a big video game, like toy store, collectibles, video games, everything. There's ways they could pivot. They're still going to lose business though, right? So no matter what, they're still going to lose business. They're not going to gain business. They're going to have to close stores. They're not going to be nearly as big as they once were, and that's okay. You know, like the people acting like GameStop is going to somehow open up more stores than they ever have. They don't understand business, and they're just emotional, I think. They want it to go up with confirmation bias, so they want it to go up, but it's not going to. They're going to have to close stores. It's GameStop. Nobody buys physical copies of video games anymore. In general, right? In general. Again, I said this yesterday. I'll say it again. Generally, people don't buy physical copies of video games anymore. Generally, right? I don't care if your aunt's grandma's sister buys physical copies of video games now. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in general, people don't. Somebody might. They're outliers, you know. All right, so we're kind of sideways and flat as we speak. What if they change their business model to what would allow them to open up more stores than GameStop had previously? I don't think there is one that they could open. Not that I can think of. You don't need that many stores for very many things at all, especially nothing that they could pivot into. And so I still think they're going to shut down stores and they're going to lose money in that regard. But they're going to lose revenue. Their revenue is going to slow, is a better way of saying this. I buy physical copies. Right. You're an outlier. You know, in general, people don't. But yeah, they could become a Spencer's, but do you need as many Spencer's as there once was GameStops? You got a GameStop around every freaking corner now. Do you genuinely think opening up a Spencer-style store around every corner is going to somehow be viable as a business? Nah. And I think businesses are interesting because you get some people that just create businesses because they want to pretend to be a business owner. And so they open up some random, obscure business location and then it fails and they don't understand why, right? Like they open up a cupcake store, you know, and they don't get any business and their business fails. Why? Because they're just kind of winging it. They have a dream of opening up a business, but they don't really plan it out successfully. Location is freaking everything with something like that. That's highly driven by retail. And a lot of that stuff's on the way out anyway. But you just got to find a hole in the market in terms of stuff to open up. And a lot of the time people just want to start a business to say they're a business owner, even though their businesses might be failing or eventually will fail. So it's I like online businesses better, but everybody's different. Yeah, I don't know. I think NFTs are basically losing hype, and they have been for the last 5 years, 4 years, 5 years. So I don't know. All right, so we did a poll here. Are you bullish or bearish for today's opening bell? 46% said bullish, 34% said bearish, 19% said I don't know. All right, inflation data. It's Friday, and we ain't got no job, and we ain't got ish to do but watch Michigan consumer sentiment data at 10 o'clock today, guys. 10 a.m. It's coming out. Maybe I'm aging myself with that quote, but still. I ended up getting involved with some NFTs. Like, I got involved with, like, the NBA Top Shot NFTs. They're probably all worthless right now. I haven't even logged in. Let me try to log in right now. I haven't even looked at this in years, to be honest. All right, chat. Market's still breaking down. I'm still kind of bearish. We got 20 minutes left. All right, let's see if my NBA Top Shots are worth anything, dude. I don't think they are. Error signing in? What? Bro, are you not going to let me sign in, dude? See, now it won't even sign me in. It says error signing in. Okay, I'm in here. It says I have $10. Where's all my stuff, bro? Hold on, let me see. My collections. I got Seth Curry, but it's not Steph Curry. Yeah, these are all worth like $1. $0.13. Dude, there's no sales history here, though. Like, nobody's buying this stuff, dude. I got, like, an old Carmelo. $1, $2. Yeah, I mean... How much is my Carmelo? $1. Okay, yeah, this is all basically worthless. I got Russell Westbrook. This is almost all of these are worth like $1 as of now. Like these are almost all worth $1. $1, $1, I don't think I have any that are, these are all worth $1. None of these are worth over $1. One of them's $2 actually. Trey Man. But point is, NFTs have fallen off. Like, nobody wants this stuff anymore. It's essentially all worthless. Yeah, I always thought they should get into Pokemon and stuff like that, but alright, so we're now dipping down a little bit here. You know, it's kind of funny, like, people are so desperate to be right that, like, we drop back down. People say right here, hey guys, we're gonna go up. You know? And then we end up doing this. And then we rebound back up some. And then the same people that said we would go up right here were like, see, bro, I told you we'd go up. And it's like, bro, we're right here now. You set it up here. What are you talking about? Like, people are so desperate to be right on the internet. And then they're like, I'm going to give out my next big prediction. And it's like, dude, get out of here with that. You don't have to be right. You don't need my validation, bro. I'm the top 3 most validated person on YouTube right now. All right, you don't need my validation, sir. Get out of here with that. All right, Chad. Now we're going up. Maybe the person was right. All right, Chad. Honestly, I've made money today, but I don't want to risk too much. I'm going to wait until the market opens in 14 minutes and get involved with some stuff. Are you guys up or down today? Red or green? Let me know. And again, you can get involved with my x.com page. We post a lot of this breaking news as soon as it happens. Okay, so we got a couple of recent news posts here. And I'm quoting Financial Juice. They say, quote, the very few lawyers I know who are involved in the U.S. Court of International Trade in the appeals process of its ruling tell me that the president would have been better off not appealing to the federal circuit in D.C. because it's packed with the previous administration's judges. They are inclined to rule against him in the legality of his use of an emergency order to announce sweeping tariffs. They say he should have appealed directly to SCOTUS, which is also not an easy lift given recent anti-rulings against him, but still better odds, according to Fox Business reporter on X.com. This dropped 6 minutes ago. So that news just came out. But yeah. VP says that Bitcoin is secure, safer from fraud, and a digital store of value. Yeah. All right, guys, we're bouncing back up a little bit short term, though. Look at this. Elliot Taporia or Charles Oliveira? Taporia. Although Charles can, like, snake out a submission, I think. Charles has very good, like, body triangle submissions, stuff like that. But I think Ilya is too good. He's going to beat Charles, probably. But you never know. Anything can happen. The only question mark is the size. Okay? So, like, Oliveira is bigger than Ilya. And so we'll see how much size plays a factor. All right, guys, here's a rebound back up. We are bouncing back up a little bit here. I'm going to put a different one up just so we can. But yeah, here's a different one. We're down a little bit here. But look at this rebound back up here, chat. Wow, big move. Should we short this 200 exponential? We got a rising trend line here, though. Apple's coming back up. So I guess that makes people optimistic that the tariffs are going to get reversed. Is what I'm assuming here. Effective federal funds rate unchanged at 4.33%. Yeah, so this is basically at 8:15 is when this move happened. And we put up a 1-minute chart. You can kind of see this news is making it react. But we're very green on the day, and we're pretty close to the opening bell, so I'm just kind of slowing down my trades. Commented on what? All right, guys, 10 minutes until the opening bell. Let's see what we get. Okay, Corey, there's too many double negatives there. John, no tariffs will not be reversed. I sent a news post on Discord. Yeah, I mean, you're probably referencing the temporary pause to the tariff ban, right? But that's a temporary pause. Okay, so that's just temporary while they look into it. And so I don't think anything's definitive right now. And I think we can play definitive. One person can say, yeah, it's going to happen. The other person can say, nah, it's not going to happen. I don't think anybody freaking knows. And I think we got to wait to see what their decision is. You know, and the news that we recently got specifically stating that lawyers involved with the U.S. court case and the appeals process of its ruling tells FBN that the president would have been better off not appealing to the federal circuit and should have directly appealed to SCOTUS, according to FBN's Gasparino, right? So basically, it's looking like the appeal is going to get rejected. And if that's the case, then the tariff ban is going to be in force, right? But as of now, it's temporarily paused. The tariff ban specifically is temporarily paused. I see a lot of people doubting Charles Oliveira. I like Charles Oliveira. Honestly, I kind of hope he wins. He's been striving after a championship for so long, and he's got great. I'm a jiu-jitsu person. Like, I'm a blue belt in jiu-jitsu. Like, I want the jiu-jitsu guy to win. But Ilya looks different, you know? And so, I hope Oliveira wins. I really do. But, you know, Ilya seems pretty good. Again, I think size might play a factor into it, so we'll see how that goes. I did martial arts for 2 decades. Well, martial arts is one thing, but if you did a keto for 2 decades, you've wasted 2 decades. No offense. You know, if you did kung fu for 2 decades, you're wasted 2 decades. You know, karate's, you know, my list goes boxing is number 1, jiu-jitsu number 2, or I would say boxing, wrestling, or jiu-jitsu number 2 and 3. Muay Thai number 4. After that, like, I don't know what you want to do after that. Judo number 5, maybe. They're all good, right? All 5 of those are super legit. Everything else, karate is okay. You know, aikido's nonsense. Kung fu's nonsense. Taekwondo is like kind of useful, although it makes you pretty freaking vulnerable. Yeah, that's my list. Kickboxing, yeah, I mean, that's fine. Aikido's nonsense. It really is. Aikido is what I describe as a pyramid scheme in martial arts. You know? Like, people spend so much time training it that they don't want to believe it's total freaking nonsense. It's like, oh, bro, poke somebody in the eyes. Duh. You know? You don't need to freaking learn Aikido to learn how to do that, bro. You know, same thing with, like, Krav Maga is also kind of nonsense as well. I mean, it's not total nonsense, but, you know. It's the most self-evident thing. Like, oh, freaking... Listen, some of the stuff could be useful. But yeah. All right, guys, so we're dipping down. We rejected right there at the 200 exponential. We got 5 minutes here, chat. 5 minutes. Yeah, add wrestling in there, day. And you got a pretty good mix of stuff for sure. Yeah, Muay Thai's great. I like Muay Thai. Those leg kicks. Nothing discourages a fight more than if you kick somebody in the legs and take their legs out. Pretty high chance they're going to walk away after that, which makes it one of the best, you know. All right, guys, we're still waiting for the opening bell. We got 4 minutes left. 4 minutes. Magic legs. All right. Apple at $199. We'll see what happens. Interesting morning for sure. We got the Michigan data coming out at 10, so just be ready for that, guys. That drops at 10 a.m. We're going to stream it, of course, as we do. Be ready. We'll cover the opening bell. We got 3 minutes into the open. Yeah, that's what it's marketed as, Mama Pawn. It's not nonsense. It's just... It's kind of like a big marketing gimmick, I would say. Krav. I might ruffle feathers with this opinion, but Krav is... If you want to learn how to fight, don't learn Krav Maga. You know, self-defense, maybe. But I would say at least like 40 to 50% of the stuff you learn in Krav is going to be nonsense, and maybe the other 50% might be useful. You know, it just depends. Like, would I pay to learn Krav? No. All right, Nvidia is falling down. So look at Nvidia. It's at 138. 138. Yeah, I don't know how Build-A-Bear is still in business as well. As a parent, though, kid stuff is expensive. Has anybody bought a Lego set recently? Bro, you get a Lego box this big, $100 for a Lego box. You want to talk about inflation? Legos. All right, so Nvidia just ripped back up, but again, we're kind of trending sideways. Tesla just popped up to 356. Yeah, dude, Lego's ridiculous, man. I can't knock their hustle too much, but inflation is out of control with Legos. All right, Chad, we got a minute and a half here. Minute and a half. All right, guys, we got 1 minute left. 1 minute. Tesla rip it up, Nvidia push it up over the 200 exponential. Very flat open though. I don't know. We got the Michigan consumer sentiment data. I think today's the prelim data. Let me make sure. But I'm pretty sure today's prelim Michigan data. No, it's the finalized consumer sentiment data. All right, guys, 30 seconds. 30 seconds until the opening bell. Let's see what we get. All right, guys, here's the open. 15 seconds. 15. All right, guys, there's the opening bell here. Again, here's the opening bell. Rejecting at the 200 exponential. Look at Nvidia push up though. Look at Apple here. We're watching Apple. All right, look at this big rejection here. I'm trying to see what's driving this dip. Meta's down a little bit here. Nvidia pulling back some, but Nvidia's been ripping up right now. We're looking at Tesla. Tesla has retraced pretty quickly, but it's still slightly green since the opening bell. Microsoft turning down a little bit as we speak. Netflix pushing up. Yeah, guys, so again, we're day trading live. Hey, Rosie, how you doing, baby? Hey, out of here, Rosie. Hey, baby. Yeah, you a good girl. Hey, you a good girl. Out. 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 Hey, Bubba. Hey, that's a good boy. Hey, out. Good boy. All right, my dogs are running in here. Look at Nvidia though, chat. Nvidia shooting up almost to 140 right now as we speak. Nvidia pushing up big here, chat. We'll see if it holds, but Nvidia making moves. Yeah. So again, PCE data is out. Yeah. PCE data is out. All right, chat. So again, Michigan consumer sentiment data is out. Or no, I'm sorry. PC inflation down. We got Michigan consumer sentiment. The market has turned to the downside here. AMD down a lot. Nvidia pushed up, but then retraced all the way back down. Yeah, guys, so we got consumer sentiment data out. I'm sorry, we got Michigan consumer sentiment data at 10 a.m. Market's turning down pretty quickly here on a 5-minute chart. I'm looking up some news to see if we got anything that's driving this move down. It doesn't look like it. All right, guys, look at this red showing up on a 5-minute chart here. We're letting the first 4 or 5 minutes play out before we day trade this. But do we have some movement here? Is it Palantir? Palantir's not really moving. I would say AMD is what's driving the market down. Nvidia's fallen down too a little bit here. Apple slightly down. Tesla is up though. So a little bit of decreases in markets, but not too much here. I'm gonna short this little pop back up, maybe. Pretty big retracement showing up. Deep red showing up here. We are shorting at our other account. Nice. Nvidia turning red here, and this is ahead of Michigan. AMD is really what's driving down. AMD's down about $2 to $3 at $2 at the opening bell. Now the president tweeted about them like an hour ago. We already got the reaction from that. I'm from Louisiana, sir. I don't know. AMD's down. It's a deeper. Tesla just turned red. We get a pretty big breakdown though. We'll try to short this in our funded account, but if we get a little retracement back up, we'll see. We got a little bounce up, but Nvidia's still dropping. I'll short this 5 contracts and maybe add to it. This is a funded account, or this is a combine account, so it's not the end of the world if we lose. There we go. I'm gonna cover half of that immediately, just because we can. Cover another piece of that. We'll hold the rest break even, see if we can break down some more. There we go. Take another piece off there. And get out the rest break even right there. We got a little retracement, but Nvidia still looks pretty weak here is the only thing. We'll give it a second. It wants to go down. We're trying to get down there. Let's see if we fall. Almost down. Looks weak. See if it fills some of this gap on the downside. There we go. Nice. It keeps retracing back up, but like I'm wondering how many times this retracement. I've been making money in our other account here. Let me put this up. But like I'm wondering how many times this retracement is gonna work because we shorted it. We're up about 800 on this account on the day. I've basically been shorting the little pops here. You can kind of see it. but eventually I feel like it might not work. Depends on how big of a retracement we get. We're gonna start scaling. That's a big one though. We're gonna short this. 3 contracts though, that's it. No more than that. I'm gonna cut half of that there, dude, too, just because it's pushing up against me. Very small trade. There we go. That's better. Okay, we'll let the rest 2 contracts work. Longer term trade, smaller size. See if the retracement works and try to cut it, break even if it turns. Oh, I kind of wanted to fill this gap of the, like, this big down candle wick. I wanted to fill some of this and keep going down, which is kind of what it's doing. There we go. We'll take half off there. There we go. We'll cut the rest off right there too. All right, pretty good. Pretty good. Remember, guys, we got 20 minutes. I'm going to put the timer up. Here's the timer. I'm going to short into this little pop. We're going to start with small size. Add to it on the way up. See if it retraces back down. Is what we want. I'm going to eliminate some of the size here for risk management purposes and just cut one. See if we can make it back on this one. Maybe add it back here. Give the rest some time. Kind of flat. I'm going to take that half off now as I can. There we go. We'll add a little bit more to this now too, since we got some momentum to the downside. Take that off. Get out the rest there. Tesla rebounded back up. Look at Nvidia break down though here. So Nvidia's at this one previous level here, which kind of is a level. I've got it as a green level, which means it was a 2-month high or something like that right here on Nvidia. So it's significant. We break underneath that. I don't think it's good. And I think I'm going to short this now too because Nvidia's breaking underneath that. Again, I'm taking an approach where I want to add to it slowly. If it gets in my favor, we'll add more to it. Like we're green now. We'll take another little piece. There we go. The only thing is, like, we do have Michigan data today. I'm going to take half of this off and just protect it. Right here. I don't like that. So we'll get out half. That way we don't lose much if it goes against this. Tesla's bouncing back. Okay, we're flat now. The momentum's been so heavy on the downside that, like, the longer I short, the less confident I am in my shorts, but I'll let it work. So I'm here. There we go. All right, we made a little bit of more slow, steady. AMD's really just dumping down though here ahead of the data. We got 17 minutes before the data shows up. Hey, what's up, Tiny? Happy Friday. I'll try the short again, but I'm worried it might pop right back. So we'll take one small and add to it if it goes in our favor again. Okay, we're gonna add a little piece to it down here. Take that add off since we broke down pretty quickly as soon as we were adding into it, and then cut the rest right there. All right, guys, slow and steady. All right, guys, be ready for Michigan data. Sorry, God, I like the song, but honestly, it has words to it, so I gotta change it. All right, look at Tesla start to find a move up here. Nvidia's still looking super weak, though, man. Look at this. I'm going to start to buy this. I'm going to pivot to a long now. There we go. I mean, we're going to just take profit there because we can. Tesla's still ripping higher here. Some type of news might have come out for Tesla. So just to clarify, we had Chicago PMI that just came out. I'm sorry, we got Chicago PMI just came out. It showed up at 40.5. 40.5. I'm putting that up in chat. 40.5 for Chicago PMI. Versus expected 45. So a little bit worse than expected here for Chicago PMI data. I'll short right here, I guess. I'll hold it break even now. Yeah, I'm going to cut that break even there. Could have held it maybe. 15 minutes chat. Yeah, I could have held that short. It's all right. I'm going to long here again. Let's see if we can pivot to the other side here. I'll give it a second, but I'm going to cut half, or a third of that, I mean. I want to give it a second to retrace back up, but I don't like the risk of holding the full thing. So there we go. We're green again. All right, we're going to take that immediately off. That way we're flat, and we got a little cushion here on the long side. Okay. I'm going to add to this now. Take half off. See if it goes up some more. Maybe add back down here on this retracement. 3 contracts. Take a little bit more risk. So it pops on the upside, fills this gap. There we go. Yes, yes, sir. All right. There we go. Out. All right. That worked. So I can put up a 1-minute chart, which is kind of what I'm looking at to take these trades, but again, we're trending towards the University of Michigan data. All right, 11 minutes until University of Michigan data here, chat. 11 minutes. Big red showing up. I'll try to buy this just because we got a little bit of momentum on the downside here, but we'll cut it if it really breaks down. All right, we took a piece off. We got a nice little cushion to let this run. Nice. I'm gonna go to get out there. Honestly, it's been going really well in my favor here. Like, we've got like a really nice string of mostly green trades. Out of the last 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 20 losing trades. The rest are green. Microsoft recently turned pretty quickly to the downside, though. Look at Microsoft. This is what's driving the drop. Look at Microsoft. So Microsoft turned pretty quickly to the down. See if Microsoft keeps breaking down and drags the market down with us. I'm going to short this. Try to add to it if it goes in my favor again. Now we're going to add to this down here. Take that off. Get out there. I'm shorting here with some larger size because I can, and I have a big cushion on the day. There we go. Beautiful here. I'm going to add to this. Cover. Add to this. Cover. All right. Deep red showing up in markets, mostly driven by Microsoft, it looks like, but we got 9 minutes until the Michigan data. I'll start with one contract short again, see if you start falling down fast. Try to add to it if it does. Add one. Yep. All right, so that worked. The redness is showing up in chat. We've been attacking this trend here, chat, attacking the trend. I'm going to short the bounce. Retracement here. We're close enough to these lows, so I think we're going to go down and test them. But you never know. Take our final risk here. We just need a little breakdown. A little bit more. Got one micro contract here. I'm not going to add to it. I don't think I'm going to just let it work. Too much of a retracement there. We'll wait. But if we retrace enough, I will short this. I'm going to short it right here. Yes, sir. Let's see if it keeps breaking. We got 7 minutes. I'm going to triple down on this. See if it flushes down now. It gives me what I want. Yeah. Got the squeeze up there that I didn't want. That's okay. We're still up $950 on this account. I'll put this other one up, and we'll trade this one now. Not to give too much back. We got Michigan data showing up pretty soon here. So retracing up pretty big as we speak. But we got a big retracement back up, so we got time. We'll get some music going pretty soon. I still like short, but like I've attacked it so much. And then we got a double bottom down there. I just want to see if we flush down some now. Let me get the music up. Where's the music? There it is. Let's see if we keep coming back down. We're so close to that low. I want to see it retest that low, but we'll give it a second. Very close. Bouncing off a low here. All right, guys, we got 4 minutes left until university data. 4 minutes left. Four minutes. We're breaking down. Let's see if we can do. All right, so I got funded on this account that we're on. So I actually did get funded on this one. Just to clarify, I should be able to activate it. But so that's the first funding I got on the new dashboard. That's nice. All right, guys, we got a minute and a half left. A minute and a half left. Here's the string of it. Pretty good trading on it so far, but we did get it. All right, chat. We got 18 minutes left. Or I'm sorry, we got 2 minutes and 18 seconds left. Hey. All right, guys. Yeah, thank you, Sam. All right, chat. We got 1 minute left. 1 minute and 40 seconds or so, give or take. Hit the live button next to the play button. We appreciate it. A little retracement back up here, but feels good. All right, guys, we got 1 minute and 15 seconds. Look at that 200 exponential, bro. We just broke down straight underneath it. Yeah, you can see my accuracy on getting funded on this one. All right, chat, we got 45 seconds, 45 seconds. Drop is University of Michigan consumer sentiment and inflation expectations. These are the finalized version. Expectations for consumer sentiment are 50.8. 50.8. We have both 1 year and 5 year inflation expectations going live soon too. So stick around. Stick around. 15 seconds. Hit the live button next to the play button. Make sure you're fully caught up on stream. 15 seconds. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Here's the report. All right, Michigan sentiment data stronger than expected, and lower inflation than expected. I expect this to make markets go up, but who knows? It might not do anything. Way lower, or way better than expected consumer sentiment at 52.2 versus 50.8 expected. Lower than expected 1 year and 5 year inflation expectations at 6.6 for 1 year versus 7.3 expected, and 4.2% for 5 year versus 4.6% expected. I do expect this to make markets go up. And again, you can kind of see this green candle showing up as we speak. So Michigan consumer sentiment data better than expected. Again, Michigan consumer sentiment stronger than expected at 52.2 versus 50.8. Inflation, 1 year inflation expected at 6.6%, which is much better. 7.3% expected. 5 year inflation expected at 4.2 versus 4.6% expected. I told you guys I thought this would make the market go up. This is pretty good data, honestly. 4.6%. Look at this. I told you guys I thought this would make the market go up. This is a pretty big reaction to it too, but this is way better than expected. Again, consumer sentiment 52.2 versus 50.8 means consumers have a stronger sentiment regarding the economy. 1 year inflation expectations lower than expected. 5 year inflation expectations lower than expected here. So pretty good, honestly, data. Pretty good data. Not bad, I would say. Told you guys. This is why you tune into my stream, because I'm going to tell you about all this stuff. You're welcome. Cheers to you guys. Appreciate the love. All right, guys. Yeah, so here's me passing this combine. So I just passed this combine on Top Step's new dashboard. Check it out. So this was my stats. This is what shows you can do it with micros, honestly. Shows you can do it with micros. My winning trade's bigger than my losing trades. Win trade percentage, 71%. 71%. We did better than 60%. You know, not too shabby. I'll take it. Green is good. NASDAQ is up on this consumer sentiment report. Again, 52.2 for the finalized sentiment data versus 51 expected or so. We'll put this data up on screen so you guys can see it. And again, if you want to help support the channel, check out Top Step. Top Step, beautiful way to learn how to day trade and limit risk. Most day traders lose money. I don't care what the internet says. Most day traders lose. And so you can either fund your own account $50,000, $20,000, $10,000, $5,000 and probably lose it, or you can try Top Step. They give you a 50K demo. They test your skill with it. If you can pass the test, they fund you. If you fail, You only lose the $50 for the base one, $100 for the middle one. It's limited risk, similar reward to funding your own account, and they pay out hundreds of millions. They fund thousands in the futures market, where most pro day traders day trade. You can day trade the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow, the Russell, gold, some currencies on some platforms. It just depends. But beautiful way to learn with limited risk, and if you're good enough to pass it, you get to keep your first 10K in profit and 90% split afterwards. You can fund your own account with profits if you're good enough. And the new dashboard on Top Steps processes payouts quick. And if you use my link, go to Top Step X, because there's tiny amounts of fees and zero commissions. So if you want to check it out, I'll put the link up. There's the link right there. It's also pinned at the top of the chat if you want to check it out. Understand all this stuff on screen, though. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Always make your own assessment. Trade responsibly. Understand all the stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Somebody says, big facts. This is why I come here. You're right. How do you get all the news, though, instantly? I just do. I just do. I'm going to tell you this. How exactly is a rainbow made? How exactly does a sunset? How exactly does a posi-track rear end on a Plymouth work? It just does, okay? Hey, I love you all. Y'all have a great day. Be safe in markets. All right? Be safe in markets. Markets is bouncing back like I told you guys it would. I love you all. Have a great day. Be safe. Again, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I'm going to see you guys later. Y'all be safe. Have a great day. I'll see you guys Monday, bright and early. Next week, we got a whole gang of reports, too. So you want to subscribe and tune in, because next week, we got ISM services and manufacturing data, the JOLTS report, non-farm employment, jobless claims, unemployment, trade deficit, non-farm productivity, non-farm payrolls, unemployment data, and more next week. Be ready. I'll see you guys then. Love you all. Have a great day.